In the year 762, Muhammad al-Nafs Al Zakiyya, who was the Imam of the Prophet's mosque, declared a rebellion against the Abbasid Caliphate. Al Zakiyya was a descendant of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and from a young age he was disgusted by the newly established Abbasid Empire, who had deviated from the traditions of the Prophet and had massacred thousands of political opponents. After completing his religious studies, Al Zakiyya became a preacher at the Prophet's mosque in Medina, and due to his eloquence and charisma, he soon gained a huge following, and students from across the caliphate would attend his sermons. Al Zakiyya used his position as the Imam of the Prophet's mosque to criticize the extravagance of the Abbasid Caliph known as Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. This tyrant Abu Ja'far has built a tall palace in Baghdad, which he built to make the Kaaba look smaller. We call upon you, O people, to rule by the Book of God, to act in accordance with it, to denounce evil, and to enjoin what is right. In response to these anti-government speeches, the Caliph imprisoned many of Al Zakiyya's relatives. Therefore, Al Zakiyya began planning a full-scale revolution against the government, with the aim of establishing a just caliphate. He delivered a fiery speech at the Prophet's mosque, calling for the establishment of a just caliphate where caliphs are elected instead of inheriting their position. The Caliph was afraid that Al Zakiyya could be a potential threat to his rule because of his huge influence over society. Therefore, in order to convince him to stop speaking out against the government, the Caliph sent him a letter. I will give you 1,000,000 dirhams and whatever you ask for. I will settle you in any land you wish, and I will release of those of your family members who are in my prison. However, Al Zakiyya rejected all of these bribes and called for the overthrow of the Abbasid dynasty. Besides this, Al Zakiyya also sent messengers to various different regions of the vast caliphate, such as North Africa, Persia, Yemen, and Sindh. For example, Al Zakiyya sent Abdullah Shah Ghazi to the region of Sindh in order to convince the people to join his revolution. As a result of Al Zakiyya's letters and speeches, many Islamic scholars from across the caliphate, such as Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, also declared their support for his revolution. After sending messengers and letters to different regions, and after assembling an army of 100,000 men in the city of Medina, Al Zakiyya began his rebellion and began attacking the Abbasid army. Shortly after the rebellion erupted, many Abbasid officials defected to the side of Al Zakiyya. For example, the Abbasid governor of Medina, known as Ziyad ibn Ubaydullah al-Harithi, publicly pledged allegiance to Al Zakiyya. At the same time, the Abbasid tax collector, known as Abu Bakr Abdullah bin Abi Sabra, also pledged allegiance to Al Zakiyya. After conquering the regions of Hijaz and Yemen, Al Zakiyya established his own state and declared independence from the Abbasid Caliphate. Al Zakiyya then appointed governors, police chiefs, and judges in different cities and created a ministry of justice, interior, finance, and defense. Al Zakiyya then released all political prisoners who had been jailed by the Abbasids, and he enforced Islamic law across his state. After losing huge amounts of territory to the army of Al Zakiyya, the Abbasid Caliph realized that he could not crush Al Zakiyya's new state through military force alone. Therefore, the Caliph imposed a blockade on the state of Al Zakiyya and prevented ships from Egypt from delivering food and supplies to Hijaz. The Abbasid Caliph also sent spies to Al Zakiyya's state in order to gather intelligence about his military tactics. Al Zakiyya eventually managed to catch these spies but refused to kill them. He also rejected suggestions to organize the assassination of the Abbasid Caliph and stated, "No, by God, I will never kill him treacherously until I call him to the truth." However, the Abbasids eventually took advantage of Al Zakiyya's righteousness and uncompromising principles and eventually managed to crush his army with the help of informants. In the year 762, during the holy month of Ramadan, when Al Zakiyya's army was fasting and low on supplies due to the blockade, the Abbasids launched a surprise attack against his state and reconquered Hijaz in Yemen, and they eventually surrounded Al Zakiyya's capital of Medina. The Abbasid generals then asked Al Zakiyya to surrender himself. However, Al Zakiyya refused to surrender and fought the Abbasid army until he was killed. The head of Nafs Al Zakiyya was then cut off and sent to the Abbasid Caliph in Baghdad.